Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we're talking AEW Grand Slam. We do have your NXT recap as well.
Yeah.
What was that look you just gave me?
No look.
What, man? We're going to talk about NXT. We're going to talk about it, man. And we're going to talk about AEW Grand Slam. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. For those of you who are wondering when we're going to drop our review of the Vince McMahon documentary, Mr. McMahon, we're going to do that. That's going to be dropping later on today, this afternoon for us, probably around 3 o'clock. We'll be shooting it. And then as soon as we can, we're going to go ahead and upload that thing. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notify bell.
Yes.
People in the chat are already, you guys aren't going to review the Vince. No, we're going to review the Vince thing. We watched it in its entirety yesterday.
Yeah.
And,
all in one sitting.
All in one sitting. So we're going to get some time into that. Or we wanted some time to digest it,
Yes.
you know. So that will be showing up in your feeds later on today. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So just be patient, be patient. We'll
Exactly.
have that. God damn it, pal.
So, anyways, that's the conversation for another episode later today. Here we're talking about AEW and I guess NXT too. Perhaps the most noteworthy
Definitely
thing,
NXT. Yeah, absolutely.
perhaps the most noteworthy thing that happened on Dynamite last night is that we had the debut in AEW of MVP. Well, hold on, man. So Prince
The
Nana
Herald has arrived.
Prince Nana had a segment where he was giving an update on Swerve's health condition after the Lights Out cage match against Hangman Adam Page, and he said mentally good to go. Physically, he's not cleared yet.
Yeah.
MVP walks out and pretty much says, Prince Nana, you failed Swerve as a manager. If Swerve wants to talk with me about business, here's my card. And he hands Prince Nana his card.
Yeah.
And leaves. So you got to anticipate if MVP is all elite, it's probably just a matter of time before boom, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin are going to be showing up in all elite wrestling as well. PW Insider reports that MVP signed with AEW about a month ago.
Wow.
So I guess where do we think this is going to go? Obviously. So I think Swerve on Twitter responded with just a picture of Prince Nana drinking coffee. That was his response after that segment. And I would guess Swerve is going to stick with Prince Nana. MVP upset, brings in Bobby Lashley, then to feud with Swerve. That would be my guess. Also Shelton Benjamin probably. So we get Hurt Syndicate. Apparently, Chandra Sapp tweeted today that if you zoom in on the business card, you can see that it says Hurt Syndicate.
Okay.
According to Sean.
All right.
So I mean, if they're bringing in MVP, Lashley, Shelton, the feud with Swerve immediately, that's high profile. That's huge.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. I like that a lot. You know, how about this instead of that? Swerve does ditch Nana. He joins the Hurt Syndicate because they're money. You know, you want to take that next step. You saddle up, become a sidekick for Lashley, and then you'll be shot to the moon even further. How about that? No,
That's
no
how
problem.
you think it works?
Not good. Probably not good. Yeah, dude, you know, man, you and I have talked about this. It's a shame that Lashley is not on our TV, and maybe AEW can do that thing where, hey, you know what? WWE dropped a ball with something, and maybe AEW can pick it up, run with it for 10 yards, fumble it, and then we'll all move on, which might be the case, or maybe they'll just absolutely kill with it. Maybe they'll do really, really good. Isn't it like kind of, I hate being this guy. I hate being this guy. I really do. I want to be this guy, Larson.
Yeah, you're going to.
But I'm going to be this guy.
All right.
Look, we all know that Swerve and his creative crew there, they know how to spin a yarn, man. They know how to tell a story.
Yeah.
Lashley's coming in to fight the biggest babyface the company has. Lashley's got to win this, right?
At least at first, yes. But then Swerve has to get his win back.
So they do a series. That makes sense. They do a series.
I think that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Like
and
maybe
Swerve
MVP,
barely escapes Lashley.
MVP brings in Lashley. It's a 1-on-1 bout. Lashley versus Swerve. Shelton Benjamin arrives, helps Lashley beat Swerve. Protected loss for Swerve.
Oof.
Motivates him to go after
Wait,
Lashley
I'm sorry. Did you say Lashley needs help to beat somebody?
No, I don't say needs to, but I'm guessing if they want to do a protected loss for Swerve, that is a way they could do it.
Nah, this is what you do, man. This is what you do. There's number one, there's no shame in being beat by Lashley.
No, none at all.
You do the Brock Cena thing. You know, here's the thing. Swerve comes back too soon.
Oh.
Swerve comes back too soon. You want to protect the guy. Obviously, you want to protect the guy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You bring Lashley in to be your Brock. That's what you do. You bring Lashley to be your Brock. Brock plus. All right. He comes in and immediately bell rings, spear, and it just gets uncomfortable.
Dominator. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And puts him away. Just completely kills the guy. You do the Brock Cena thing, right? And then Swerve's got to take some more time off. Lashley goes on a rampage, right? Maybe he picks up one of them titles that they got, one of the millions of titles they got over there. And then Swerve comes back and he ekes out a win over Lashley, where he's got to give everything he has to beat the monster Bobby Lashley. I think that's how you do it. And then Bobby Lashley goes on a tear, kills everybody. Boom, boom, boom. There you go.
Boom. So this seems like a good time to talk about this. This is something Meltzer mentioned on Wrestling Observer Radio. This is news. It's this conversation that he was having, I would assume, with Bryan Alvarez. Maybe he was just having an inner dialogue with himself. I don't know. So he posed the question, essentially, is AEW signing and relying too much on older and or former WWE talent at this juncture in the company's history? That's what Dave had to say. These transcripts come to you from Wrestle Talk. Quote, if there's people you're going to bring in, I really think you want to bring in younger people. They're already too old as far as like an overall roster. There's too many older wrestlers, and they're good. It's not like they're not carrying their weight. It's just that you want a certain product mix, especially now because their viewership, because they're running older, they've lost the younger viewership. That younger viewership probably will best relate to younger talent, not necessarily guys that are better, smarter workers, because these guys are. I know they have some young guys they put on TV like Nick Wayne and others, but it just feels like too many guys in that age group, and MVP is just another one. And there's probably too many ex-WWE guys as well, and we've got probably 3 more coming. Shelton is not a young guy, and Bobby is not a young guy anymore, even though he looks great. So I think there's a lot more nuance and subtlety to this as opposed to, bringing in too many WWE guys. You know what I mean? If you have an opportunity to sign a proven main event talent like Bobby Lashley, you do it.
Yeah. I don't
the
think
question is, I'm using this individual as an example because they were recently, their contract was recently near expiring and WWE re-signed. Someone like Chad Gable, at this juncture in his career in WWE, firmly mid-carder, but like a lot of people who have left WWE in the past and signed with AEW, you're like, he's been a mid-carder in WWE, but feels like he could do so much more. And for every success story like that, like Swerve, you got Malachi, you got Miro, you got Andrade, you got Saraya, wrestlers who come to AEW and just for whatever reason, I'm not saying who's at fault here, the expectations you have when they arrive just aren't met. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to be. I understand the idea of not going and signing everybody from WWE because you might like them as a talent, especially when you have people like Daniel Garcia, who's been with the company for a long time that you've built up. People like Ricky Starks, who you're not even using. You know, I get it in that, what Meltzer's saying there in that instance. But if you got an opportunity to bring in a main event talent who can be, and you have a story lined up for him, which seems to be the case here, and could be a potential game changer for your company at a point now where ratings ain't the best, attendance ain't the best, you do it. Without question, you bring in Lashley, you bring in MVP, you bring in Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a case by case basis.
Obviously,
I don't think, number one, when you have a Chris Jericho on your roster, that you're just using every single week. Not a lot of reaction. It's not really doing much for anybody. You're paying him just way too much money, probably.
Indubitably.
I'm not saying that like there's no place for Chris Jericho and AEW. In my personal viewing habits, I'm not really interested in seeing what he has to offer anymore because he hasn't been interesting in quite a while for me. That's my personal opinion. I think there's plenty of people who probably agree with that. I know he's got his fans though, but that's a name that I think when you look back at the 2019 roster, who they brought in, Jericho made a ton of sense, sense. He put him on the map.
Totally.
His name, Mox's name, they put him on the map for sure.
Absolutely.
But it's been 5 years, been over 5 years now. There hasn't been a lot of difference with what he was doing back then and what he's doing today. And I just don't think it adds much to the product. There's a guy that you don't really need on your television anymore. You need to make way for other names. And a lot of the names that you mentioned, I mean, you know, Malachi seemed like a home run. And I'll be honest with you, that's on Tony Khan because I think that guy could have been a home run. And it's a shame that he didn't end up being that. Miro, Rusev, and Tony Khan seemingly couldn't get on the same page. I think there was a lot of interesting stuff there. But the bottom line is Saraya, you know, I don't know what happened with Saraya there. I really don't. It was a big deal when she showed up, and then it was really quickly that it was not a big deal anymore. And so, you know, as with everything, it's sort of a case-by-case basis. But you look at another name, Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Nobody can say that hasn't been a home run. Nobody can say that. And he's super old. Yep. Although I'm not a huge fan of seeing of his work over the past couple of years, but Adam Copeland, I think, was also a no-brainer. You know, former WrestleMania main eventer, most celebrated champion in terms of like accomplishments in WWE, probably in WWE history besides hardcore champions. But Adam Copeland, I think absolutely bring him in. Similarly, yeah, you bring in Bobby Lashley. Of course you do. Absolutely. And then it's on you. It's on you to take that name value, to take what he has to offer. As Meltzer said, he still does look phenomenal. Yeah. And there was unfinished business with the Hurt Business that I think could be really interesting. If you link him up with the creative people who've been doing Swerve stuff, and MVP pitches in as well, because we know that he was, you know, under Vince doing some of the creative heavy lifting there. I think there is the potential there for something very, very good. I'm not saying that everybody, and I can't even think of names right now. I don't think it's funny because oddly enough, I think Chad Gable would not have been a good fit in AEW. I just don't, because he is one of those guys who in WWE, because he's never broken through a certain level, the fan interest in seeing him break through that other level. Have you noticed, like on social media, especially when he was going after the Intercontinental Championship, a lot of people were saying, and I think some of them might have been right, said he should have been the guy to defeat Gunther for that Intercontinental Championship. But I think he's still charting his path in WWE. Yeah. And to stop that all of a sudden, dump him over in AEW, I kind of feel like he would just be another wrestle guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But with Lashley, I think that there's some interesting stuff that he could do in AEW.
Absolutely.
It's on them now to execute that properly. And if they don't, it's going to be on the creative. It's going to be on the creative of AEW. And I think that there is genuine. I think that AEW does not have the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. Yeah. So they're going to have to prove that they can do that. So yeah, I mean, this is going to end in one of two ways. Either a year from now, Lashley's going to be, you know, their Brock and is going to be really successful and he's going to be the monster that we know he can be, or MVP is going to be on a podcast complaining about the problems with AEW. It's going to be one of those two things. I don't really see a lot of middle ground there, you know?
Yeah. You know, and going back to what Dave had to say about AEW better utilizing younger talent, it hasn't exactly been their strong suit of late, although it was good to see that who made the save for Danielson last night. It was Private Party.
Private Party, yeah.
They're putting them in a program with Claudio and Pac and Wheeler for those trios titles. Are they going to win the championships? No, probably not. But it's getting them involved and getting them TV time.
You never know.
Hopefully, the hope is through this story, they can go on to better things. You know, that should be the hope. You're involved in a story with some really some name established talent.
I mean, dude, you say maybe not, maybe so if you think about it. Like right now, 1/3 of the trios champions.
Oh, I know.
He is not into it. I could see.
Yeah,
that
but if
being
Mox
the
and
case.
Marina are there ringside, Blackpool Combat Club's going to win.
Yeah, we'll see.
They'll use that win to further the split between Wheeler and the rest of and Claudio and Pac, probably. So
let's talk about Mox.
Let's have those titles for a little bit. But anyways, yeah, let's talk about Mox. I brought Mox. Let's talk about Mox.
He is now.
Hold on, let's talk about Shane. Where was Shane last night? I thought Shane was supposed to help Mox win.
Hey, Shane did a pretty good job in that documentary.
He did.
I kind of felt for that guy.
That's why actually wanted him to show up last night.
You know what? Maybe his vision for the Rumble a couple of years ago was epic, and it should have been implemented.
Maybe, because if I remember correctly, that Rumble wasn't very good.
Yeah. I don't think he's the guy, man. But I feel for him.
It very much had like very, very distinct Succession vibes.
Oh boy, did
Majorly.
it. Oh boy, what was it, episode 4 or 5, the family one? Yeah. Boy. Anyways, no Shane last night, which was a bummer because my head would have exploded on that one. But we did get a new number one contender. Now no longer is Darby TNT number one contender. He was number one contender for TNT title and the world title at the same time.
Neither.
Lost that as well after getting, honestly, just annihilated by John Moxley last night.
Yeah, he was spitting out foamy blood, trying to pass out to the bulldog choke. He was. Don't do that. Mox wrecked him.
He wrecked him. Proved his case for number one contendership to Bryan Danielson's title. Bryan Danielson got a little bit of revenge by choking the shit out of Mox last night after the finish to that match. They're going on to Wrestle Dream now in Tacoma to fight for that title. Shane there? Did WrestleMania 17 finish there? What's going on with that? What's going to happen?
I don't know, because I thought about that too. But then again, Tacoma it's in Washington. That's where Danielson's from. I don't know how far Aberdeen is from the Tacoma-Seattle area. But it's more or less a hometown show.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For Danielson.
Yeah, it's like, dude, come on. Anywhere in Washington is going to be a hometown for him, like Canada is Bret Hart's hometown.
Yes, there's the perfect analogy. Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, Canada's pretty huge, Larson.
Massive.
A lot of land there.
Massive amount of land. So in that respect, you think Danielson would maybe win? Maybe, but then here's the thing: is Mox keeps on inferring there's something larger going on with his group. He said it to Darby, you don't know what's really going on here. And to tease that and not have a reveal of something, and whether it's the reveal of whoever is the real mastermind behind this in terms of it being Shane or whoever the case, it's going to feel like a bit of a letdown at some point. Because I'm not mistaken, he's inferred that there's something more going on there, right?
Yes, he has. He sort of eased up off that a little bit. And that's sad to see. Maybe it fell through with Shane O'Mac. We saw a picture of Shane McMahon at yet another airport, this time hanging out with the Young Bucks. And so, I don't know if that's going to be something that plays out. I really hope it does. You'd have thought New York, being that's what they used to call the WWE territory, New York, that'd have been a great place for Shane O'Mac to make his presence known. But maybe that'll go down at Wrestle Dream. I don't know. It'd be kind of weird, though. Like, hey, wouldn't that be kind of weird if Danielson's... I mean, look, the next time he loses is ostensibly his retirement match. It's his last full-time deal.
Yeah.
And so it'd be kind of weird if somebody else's story beat was his retirement match as opposed to making his retirement match a big deal. The story beat for
here's thematically speaking, it's different, but the idea, for example, last year at World's End, it's the end of the year, it was the end of MJF's year-plus title reign. Adam Cole reveals himself as the devil, so on and so forth. The title of the pay-per-view alone feels like the culmination, And perhaps they'll do something similar with Danielson at the end of the year. At World's End, it'll be his last match. I don't know against who. Maybe it's Hangman. Maybe it's Lashley. I don't know. maybe it's you could think of several names that you could have face Danielson in that match and to be a compelling story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. It seems I don't because Danielson likes to mess with people. He does, and I don't doubt that his neck is messed up. But is it a situation where he needs to have surgery in 2 months, 6 months, a year? Mm-hmm. Just at some point, if he wants to live the rest of his life in a fulfilling fashion? I don't know.
Yeah, you can't take that at face value.
Exactly, just because that's Danielson likes to mess with people.
Yeah.
And if that neck surgery is the prime, well, there's it's a promise he made to his kids that he's going to be done this year, but also kind of it seemed like the more immediate necessary thing as they're portraying it on TV is he needs to get his neck fixed.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But if that is a little bit more of an open-ended thing, then maybe it's possible he holds the title till All In July next year. I don't know.
Or even like Revolution, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I do feel, and we talked about this last time, I do feel like the Mox thing, something changed with the story direction between Darby winning that Rampage Battle Royal. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
where
Royal
he got
Rampage, or whatever they called it.
The Royal Rampage, yeah, or whatever. Rampage, whatever it is. Between winning that and then Mox showing up, they were like, oh, wait a second. Story idea. What if we go in this direction because we signed Shane for the Shane World Order, or whatever the situation was. Like, maybe at this point that's just sort of silly to think that it actually is Shane, but Mox's agenda is still unknown, and they got to play that out. They have to play that out. It can't just be he's going around quoting Mussolini and, him saying, this isn't your company anymore. He can't just be talking about himself. It sounded like he had some sort of sea change in mind for AEW. And if they don't play that out, if it just turns into Mox with the title because Marina Shafir helped him out, that's lame.
Yeah, it's kind of anticlimactic. Yeah,
it really is. Like, we want something bigger than that, man.
Yeah.
Shane World Order, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, before we continue, Steve, you want to pay some bills?
Yes, let's go ahead and do that.
All right. Let's take a break, get a word from the sponsor. Today's episode, Tecovas. When I was a kid, Steve, I used to have a pair of Western boots that I wore all the time. All the time. But now, sitting here as adult Larson, I'm not sure I could pull off wearing boots like that.
No, man, because you're not a kid anymore. Those would be tiny on your feet. You'd be trying to squeeze your feet in little kids' boots. Oh, that's a little weird, I'll be honest with you. Anyways, I do think, though, you could totally pull off wearing a pair of Tecovas. Tecovas crafts quality Western boots for everybody, from ranchers to cowboys to first-time boot buyers like yourself. Tecovas reviews are off the charts positive, with Esquire saying, quote, there's a reason we keep coming back to Tecovas. A lot of reviewers mention that they fit great, they're easy to put on, and super comfortable. They're going to feel right out of the box. Plus, with Tecovas Best in the West guarantee, you get free returns and exchanges for 30 days.
Said fit great, easy to put on, and comfortable. Sounds like I owe it to my feet to pull on a pair of Tecovas. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/raw when you sign up for email and text. That's 10% off at tecovas.com/raw. Tecovas.com/raw. See site for details. Tecovas. Point your toes west.
Nigel McGuinness got his match with Bryan Danielson. Mm-hmm. A lot of chain wrestling and wrestle stuff. Throwbacks, thanks to Excalibur, I know. A lot of throwbacks to their previous encounters.
Yeah.
Of course, Danielson got, this is a silly little thing. In the end, though, Nigel said thank you and not fuck you, right?
Well, they bleeped it out.
Oh, did they bleep it out?
They didn't bleep it. Sorry, but they did the thing where they take audience audio and cover up.
Okay.
Because that's what commentary said, that Nigel said thank you.
Yeah, Jim Ross immediately said, "Mate, did he just say thank you?" But then I saw on Twitter there was a debate going on. Yeah. And then when I looked, I looked back and I read his lips a couple times. Thank you would have been like a really cool thing. Fuck you would have been hilarious. But I'm kind of curious what the chat thinks, if they think it was, because it's funny, even the way he moved his mouth, he starts doing the tongue for a thank you, but like And then it kind of just looked like he just went full on with the F. So I don't know what it was. In any
don't know either.
event, awesome for Nigel McGuinness to get this match in against Danielson, sort of, bookending their 20-year, whatever it was, rivalry.
Yeah, I think they said they had their first match in 2000.
2007, wasn't it? Or was that the last time?
2009 was the last one.
Okay, maybe it was 07. I don't know what it was. In any event, it goes back a very long time.
It does.
We got that match. Awesome for him. And I don't know if he's going to continue to wrestle or not. You got to figure, man. I mean, number one, he is 46 years old, but at the same time, having not wrestled for that amount of time, now being able to, having a platform to do that, you got to figure this guy might have the itch and might want to keep on going.
Oh, definitely. He's in tremendous shape.
Oh, phenomenal
tremendous
shape. Yeah.
The match was solid. I thought it was a bit silly that there was that question, is Danielson showing up? And they play his music, and Nigel's like, oh, he's not here, count him out, only for final countdown to start playing. Once Nigel shows up in his ring gear, and like Justin Roberts is like, hey, this next match is, he announces the match. I'm like, all right, it's just happening. Like, why? We know it's happening. Why go through the trouble of teasing that it's not? It's not building up any drama.
It's theater, man. Come on, it's theater. It's theater.
It's an attempt at theater, but it's a failed attempt at theater because we know the match has happened.
Well,
I like the whole going into it, the whole
smart
idea,
guy.
the whole idea of this match will happen only if Danielson is cleared was kind of ridiculous because we never got Danielson's perspective on this match.
Not all of us thought this match. I thought this match was not going to happen. I was like, he's not cleared. Nigel's going to sit in that ring, and we're all going to look like assholes.
You fool.
Yes.
You fool.
I'm joking. Yeah, dude, look, it was silliness from the get-go. I expected full-on silliness until the lockup, and that's what we got. I agree with you, but hey, that's not isolated. That goes back to when Nigel McGuinness had a piece of paper, and he was like, oh, you gonna fight me or not? You're not clear, but you're gonna show up and you Danielson. And then he's got the shirt, Bryan fears Nigel, and there was nothing to this. But you know what, man? They had the match, and that's cool. Yeah.
And in the end, after Danielson locks on a label lock, Nigel tries to escape, and that's when Nigel either says thank you or fuck you, and then taps out. Christian's music hit because the whole time Nigel is working over Danielson's arm, his right arm, the one he broke against Okada.
Mm-hmm.
And so Danielson's, standing there holding his arm. Christian's music hits. He walks out with his contract, gets the pen out. I guess he actually have to sign it. Sign the contract.
Do you like that gimmick or not?
I don't mind it, although when Kip Sabian runs out and grabs the pen from Christian, and I'm not throwing shade at Kip. Because he's involved in a story with Nick Wayne. I get it. It makes sense. I have no issues with Kip Sabian as a performer. Just, I don't know. It's like if you're going to deny Christian the opportunity to cash in here, it's not the most impactful name.
It's not. And stealing the pen is really cheesy. Why don't you just hit the guy from behind and the pen goes flying and then you can kick that away or something? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was corny. It was corny. It was a corny way to stop a cash in, and hey, we gave plenty of shit to Brock Braun for Brock Lesnar chucking that. There's been plenty of shitty Money in the Bank situations as well. Yeah. And that's what this is. It kind of made me chuckle. So I guess for entertainment value, it's all right. But yeah, in terms of like the drama of it, I don't know if anybody thinks that Christian's going to win that AEW World title. I just don't. You got Mox who's doing this new, like, I'm Sinister guy and I might be part of the SWO. But, like, Christian, how does he fit in there? He's kind of a goofy dude,
Yeah, I know.
He's not the most threatening guy in the world.
No. And it just seems like they're using this contract as a storytelling device to actually have the split between Luchasaurus and Christian.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, seems like that. I did like, though, when he went to go chase him, he ran into Claudio and Pac. I thought that was actually really well sort of done shot.
Yeah.
The
they're standing there looking all intimidating stuff.
The mise en scène.
Yes, there you go. Then we just jump right into another match. We get Hook. Send Hook. Hook signal was out, Steve.
Hook signal.
Taking on Roderick Strong, decent enough bout. It's FTW rules. The end saw Roderick Strong looking for end of heartache. Hook counters with the red rum. Roderick taps. And afterwards, Roderick Strong shakes Hook's hand, gives him a hug.
Yeah.
And then Shivani gets up from commentary, has an interview with Hook, because apparently it was, I can't remember how many years ago. He kept on saying it was like 3 miles away from Arthur Ashe Stadium where the FTW Championship was born.
Okay, yeah.
So Hook says, "Thank you, Tony. With all that being said, all good things must come to an end." I was like, "Oh man, is he announcing he's leaving AEW?"
Oh, Hook is out of there. He's just retiring.
So he says,
I found a job at a chip plant manufacturer.
There you go. Getting into IT.
Yeah.
So he says, "On behalf of my family, I'd like to thank every wrestler who competed for this title right here. On top of that, I'd like to thank all the fans who supported the FTW title. Now, in this very moment, the FTW title is officially retired." So he goes over to commentary and gives the title to his dad.
Well,
and that was nice.
It belongs to him anyways.
I know, but the moment,
Yeah. No,
it's Taz's title. He gets it back. They retire the title. Taz is crying. It's a moment for him.
It's nice. Him and his son. Yeah. It is a nice moment. Absolutely, I agree. But just understanding that the reality of this is it's Taz's anyways, and he honestly he probably gets nervous every time it's out there. He's like, "Come on, it's my FTW title. I want to put it on the shelf at home." Like, you probably should have made a new one, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just remember being back in the day, you, me, and Jeff living in that apartment and thinking the FTW title was so cool. I always took issue with people talking shit about it. I thought it was really cool when they busted out the FTW title, even though I knew it was just Taz's, thing.
Yeah, he's made up thing, yeah.
But like back in ECW, it was badass. Nobody could touch him in that phase of ECW. And then eventually Sabu's the only other guy back then who won that title off him. Yeah. And I always thought that was really cool that he had the FTW title because it had the word fuck in the title. That was cool.
I wonder if they were expecting this moment to have like a lot of emotional heft to it because Jericho had it for a while. He changed the name of it. He was kind of crapping on the legacy of the FTW title.
Mm-hmm.
Hook gets it. Maybe it would have been better off if when Hook won it that day.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If he had given it back to Taz and retired the title. It might have been more meaningful then because, it's out of Jericho's clutches now and it's back home with us. Now let's send this title off to a happy retirement. And then now Hook can do something other than go for the FTW title.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think you're right. I think if there was a bigger struggle to get it back and then immediately, hey, we don't want this to happen. This was too close of a call and this is too prized of a possession of my family's legacy, then here, give it up. But instead it was just like, one more match for the FTW titles, Roderick Strong. Hook ended up taking out the entirety of the kingdom. Apparently, according to Taven, I think Wardlow's out with a knee injury.
Yeah.
So people were asking, where's Wardlow in Wardlow's world? Well, he's got a knee injury, apparently.
Yeah. Yep. After that, more match. We got Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher challenging the Young Bucks for the AEW tag team titles. This match was pretty spectacular. There was a lot of really good stuff here.
Boy, a lot of people calling this tag team match of the year because it was that good.
It was really good. It was really good. So the major story beat here, so Don Callis was on commentary as expected. At one point, Fletcher hits Nick with a suicide dive. So Callis gets up from commentary and hands Fletcher a screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
So then Callis gets on the apron to distract the ref. Kyle primes himself to hit Matt with the screwdriver, and Riley's about to do it. Ospreay takes it from him. He's like, "We're so close to winning. We don't need to do this."
Yeah.
Because several times they were really close to winning.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to do this. So while they're having that little bit of discussion, Matt hits Will with the tag title and immediately throws it to Nick. So there's a roll up that Fletcher puts on Nick. Matt kicks out. So then as Fletcher's heading towards the ropes, Nick hits Fletcher with it. He gets rolled up, kicks out, but then the Young Bucks hit him with stereo super kicks and an EVP trigger to get the win.
And you see a little bit afterwards. This was actually pretty decent TV
really good
production.
camera work here, yeah.
You see Ospreay, and he's just sort of like processing the loss, and you see Fletcher, the look on his face, and he's basically saying, why did you do that? Like, why couldn't we have taken that route with Screwdriver? So yeah, fun story beat there. I'm assuming this is going to lead to an Ospreay versus Fletcher, falling out match type situation. Although Fletcher was like Ospreay's first. They fought before also, right?
Yeah. I think it was one of Ospreay's first matches when he signed AEW.
His first
Fletcher,
Dynamite match or something, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they always put on. I mean, that match was phenomenal, that original really one, and so I'm expecting big things from this one. I love the idea of just trying to elevate Fletcher because I think that guy's got a lot of upside, man.
He does. In ring, it's there. It's just finding the character. It's finding the character.
Well, at this point, don't you think it's more like just building his history with story? It's like because his character is pretty well established.
I should say, instead of character, I should say his presentation, because I don't know about the proto star thing.
Well, at some point he's going to evolve into star.
Yeah.
That's his that's his story. Okay. Right now he's a proto star.
Stand corrected.
Yeah.
We get an interview with Conglomeration when Rocky Romero, and Orange says, Rocky, you want to be in Conglomeration? He says, yeah. So he gets the shirt. And so Mark Briscoe does one of his typical, hey, I'm going to get everybody fired up promos, because they have a match on Collision against Learning Tree. He's wearing a Briscoe shirt because he says it was 5 miles from there where the Briscoes had their last match.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the word of the day was.
Oh, man. It's the tip of my tongue, too, because I heard it right as I was leaving my room because I got tired of these things. I forget what it is now. Damn it, I actually listened to that, though.
Kyle defined it, too, and everything. I can't remember what it was, though.
Prince Nana had an interview. He was going to give us an update on Swerve. He says, first up, Prince Nana has to say it's good to be in New York in whose house?
Swerve's house.
They say Arthur Ashe's house. And then he says, listen, Tony, I've known you for a long time, and Swerve means a lot to me. You know what's wild, what's crazy, is that somebody on Twitter, I don't know, a couple weeks ago posted a still of Prince Nana from a match entrance in WCW back in the day. I was like, whoa. Anyways, he says, listen, Tony, I've known you a long time. Swerve means a lot to me. Mentally, there is nothing that can stop the most dangerous man in AEW, but physically he is not cleared to come back. But he's fighting hard every single day to come back. And then you hear, excuse me, hey. No music. He just, MVP wanders out, but he's got such a distinctive voice. It's like, whoa, oh, MVP's there. So he says, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is MVP. He says, I have to agree with something you said. Swerve is the most dangerous man in AEW, no doubt. In fact, it's my opinion that Swerve is the most phenomenal talent to ever set foot in an AEW ring. His title reign will be studied by future generations. I was watching. I saw all of it. I saw Swerve lose the AEW title at All In, and I saw his childhood home burn to the ground. And I have to ask you, why is the man who burned his home to the ground walking around smiling? I don't see any of that as a failure by Swerve. I see it as a failure of his management. Nana's like, why am I catching strays here? He says, take it easy. It's not that kind of party. What I want you to do, because Nana starts peacocking a little bit. He says, what I want you to do is let Swerve know that when he's ready to ascend to the mountaintop where he belongs, please give him my business card and let him know I'm ready to talk business. So, yeah.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Then we get a quick drone shot. My computer froze up briefly, so I missed this. But it was a drone shot of Jack Perry in the Scapegoat Mobile driving up to Arthur Ashe Stadium, correct?
It was such a steady shot that I was like, is this CGI?
Oh, they put it in some AI thing?
I don't know. It was just how those drones are very, and then on top of that, you add the stabilization to it and all that kind of stuff. It was just a really well-produced shot of the Scapegoat Mobile. Because does Perry have a match on Collision?
I thought he did.
I have the card.
But then I saw the rundown of the card because I shot it last night. I remember a match being on there. Here, I'll check.
Well, I had it and then I lost it. Where is it? Oh, here we go. What we got? Sammy Guevara versus Okada. Saraya versus Jamie Hayter.
He has a match.
Where is it?
I'm not going to say against who because I think it's supposed to be a surprise. So.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, because it's not on the official match card here.
Yeah. No, I saw it on Wrestling Observer. They have the spoilers from last night because it was shot after Dynamite.
Now in my head, I'm trying to guess who it is. Is it Hologram? No, he's got a match.
Yeah, he has a match.
He's not triple threat, I think.
There's not really storyline motivation for his opponent, but it would pop a crowd.
Oh, yeah, here it is. No, it is on the match card. Jack Perry, open challenge.
Yeah.
I think somebody in chat has it.
All
right. Spoiler alert, chat.
Yeah. Next up, we had Yuka Sakazaki challenging Mariah May. Mariah gets the win here after a running knee and a Storm Zero, and afterwards, Mariah is about to hit Yuka with the belt. Willow runs down to make the save, and then Mina Shirakawa's music hits. That allows. So Willow turns around to see who it is. Mariah blasts her with the title, and then she runs up the ramp and gives Mina this huge hug, and Mina's like, no, I didn't want this to lead to Willow getting hit with the title, you know.
This was blocked really awkwardly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for the dramatic heft that they were going for, and I guess semi-comedic, because like Mina was like, you know, she had to be like big in her like, oh, I didn't mean that to happen. It's funny. This is one of those where like, you know, and then there was like a promo I think that Mariah did. It was either on social or maybe it'll show up on Collision. I don't know. And she's like talking shit, and she's like, oh, I'm so happy to, and you just look at Mina's body language and she doesn't want to be there, but like Mariah's oblivious. That's always silly to me, because if anybody's uncomfortable near me, I know immediately. I'm like, what's your problem? Yeah. Why are you giving me that look right now? Because I get
uncomfortable and awkward. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Oh man. But so yeah. I don't know much more to say about that one.
Well, I'm sure we're gonna get a Mariah Mina program coming up here in the near future.
Mariah Willow, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that
I mean, that's probably going to be in the short term. Mina's going to be in the long term.
And I wonder if they're going to build, because they're having the All In Australia early next year, I believe.
Yeah.
If they're setting up for Mariah versus Tony's rematch there.
Oh, that could be. That would make sense. Then we had the main event. Jon Moxley absolutely wrecking Darby Allin. Yeah. It's just Darby Allin's greatest hits of just getting hit a lot and taking crazy bumps.
That spot though where where Marina pulls back the
not huge
the
on
mat.
That. Don't
and
like
so
that.
They have, I don't know what it's made of, it's plastic or what. They have under the mats to protect the grass that's underneath, because it's tennis stadium.
Tennis.
And so they have, I assume it's plastic or something like that. It's just, you know, plates of it. And so Darby's looking for a suicide dive. Mox gets out of the way, and Darby just eats all whatever this is, plastic.
Yeah,
sucked.
Like
sucked to see. Sounds like it really hurts. Anyways, Mox gets the win. So Darby's looking for a superplex off the top. Mox counters with Death Rider to get the win. But like Darby early on, his mouth got busted open. He's foaming, bloody foam when he's trying to.
Oh, they did, dude. Yeah, they did that spot where like Darby was like, like his he was like basically biting down on the rope.
Yeah,
Mox was holding there.
The rope. Yeah,
and then he like backs up and he kicks it, and then immediately it was like just blood everywhere. I was like, is that a capsule or was that like?
It was a lot.
It was a lot of blood.
It was a lot of blood.
Yeah.
So Mox wins. Marina gets on the apron to distract Darby while he's looking for a superplex, and that allows Mox to hit the Death Rider off the top. So Danielson runs to the ring. He starts choking out Mox with a tie.
Hooded Danielson. Yeah. Masked attacker Danielson. It's kind of like when he was the
Rawgate whistleblower.
Yeah.
So Marina gets behind Danielson and starts choking him out. And so Claudio and Pac run down to try to pry Danielson off of Mox.
Yeah. Marina did not get the job done.
No.
He was still just and then even Claudio and Pac had a hard time getting him off.
Yeah, Bryan really wanted to choke out Mox. So then Private Party and Commander run down the ring to make the save for Danielson. Eventually, everybody other than Danielson and Mox is in the ring. Danielson's looking for a knee plus. Claudio and Pac pull Mox out. And so Danielson grabs a mic and says, Mox, you said you wanted war? I declare war. Here's the thing. You want a shot at my title? You got it. Me and you at Wrestle Dream, I'm going to kick your fucking head in. There's a lot of cussing on Wrestling Tuesday and Wednesday night. That whole Wesley, we'll get to NXT in a moment, the whole Wesley, Zachary Wentz segment was them just having to bleep out all the cuss words.
Yeah, there was a lot of cursing there. Yeah. You know what was wild in the Vince doc? When Vince was setting up the Undertaker match with Shane. I didn't know that he dropped the F word there.
I remember there was like an awkward censoring of something.
Okay, all right.
Live watching it, but then seeing it uncensored, what he actually said to Shane didn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it was just a garbled. It was like, you're gonna get fucking beating, you know. So it was awkward as shit.
Yeah.
But it was crazy that he just, you're gonna fucking beating, get it now, or something. He said like that.
Yeah, it was something awkwardly phrased.
Yeah, he just
Really
wanted to throw
awkwardly
fucking in there.
phrased.
I'm like, come on, man, there are kids here, Vince. What are you doing? Do you think
Anyway,
Justin Roberts felt a way about
he tweeted about it.
About the time? Oh, what did he tweet? What did he say?
I don't remember. He just tweeted a response. You know, that was a long time ago.
He said, "I feel a way
him and
about
Danielson.
that."
I wonder. You'd think him and Danielson maybe have a talk about that the year since. That was 14 years ago, Steve.
Danielson probably laughed about it. He's probably like, "Oh yeah, remember when I almost killed you?" Like, yeah, I'm not cool with that, man.
Well, maybe they both have a laugh about it now. I don't know.
I probably wouldn't. If you almost killed me, I would not have a laugh about it, man. I'd probably feel away. Yeah. Would you find that funny? Wow, you're hesitating? Interesting.
Depends on the circumstances.
All right.
Talk about Anyways, let's talk NXT, Steve. I know you're waiting to talk about NXT.
Woo!
Number one NXT fan, Steve here. I know you watched the whole thing. Maybe watched it twice. You were so excited into this episode.
Yeah, I did, actually.
What did you think? Give me your thoughts on NXT.
Oh, God. It's the most electrifying show with the best cast of characters and the most wonderful creative team there. Lots of great stuff. I mean, look, dude, it you know, I guess the big thing this week, look, they got senioritis on the USA. They're waiting to load up this CW stuff.
Yeah.
Stephanie Vaquer is going to be amazing. I think that's really cool. I like that they punctuated. You know what? I like that they punctuated the episode by saying all the biggest women names in the world want to be here to take that NXT title, the women's title. I like that. I thought that was really cool because that is the highlight of NXT is their women's division. And I don't even think it's close to anything else. Like, it's funny because I guess he's gone now, but like Joe Hendry, because Joe wasn't on last night's episode. Nope, he doesn't really have anything to do. Yeah, he hasn't been in a while. I feel like he kind of derailed Trick Williams a bit, you know? And I'm sure once he gets that title back from Ethan Page, maybe Ethan Page's title run has derailed the men's divisional.
Yeah,
but maybe that
hasn't really been.
Sorry, Heather, close your ears. I know you're a big Ethan Page fan.
The most effective way to build up the NXT title. It hasn't. Ethan Page is champion. Mm-hmm. But, if you have this huge win for Trick and the main event of the CW debut, and really start building NXT around Trick and whoever wins, probably Julia, the Julia Roxanne match, in terms of marketing the brand, then, I don't know. It just seems like, and you're probably right about the senioritis aspect of NXT on USA currently. They'll load up the first few CW shows for sure. They have to, I think. Just to generate as much talk and excitement as possible. But if this is the type of creative they're going to bring over to the CW shows.
Javon Evans, for example, he's about to face Randy Orton in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Didn't he eat the pin this week against Waller in Theory?
Yeah.
Unless he's going to get that back in singles action against Theory, I don't even think that's going to be the case. They need to be hyping up this guy. Honestly, NXT needs to do what they were doing back in the day because that's what they're doing with the women's division right now is high-profile free agent signings. You gotta shift some of them over to, they didn't get Jacob Fatu. It looks like they're going to get Hikuleu, but I don't know if that's like that. I don't know if that's going to move a needle, So they need some high profile. It's in the same vein as Ethan Page. I thought Ethan Page was a good signing. It's just they got to find some story for him right now. But they haven't built their dudes. And I talked about this, I don't know, earlier this week or whatever. They just haven't built their dudes to the degree they kind of did Trick a disservice by bringing him back down to feud with Pete Dunne over a phrase, figure it out, which was nothing. They got to build their dudes. They got to have Obafemi step up to the main event scene because that dude is more than ready for that. You don't need that North American title on him anymore. Have him step up to the main event scene. feud with Trick, if that's going to be the situation. Have that be an extended feud. And on top of that, you need like Ricky Starks. If they're going to go after Ricky Starks, boom.
Or Daniel Garcia.
Yeah. Daniel Garcia. Put him in NXT. I think that'd be great. They don't need to be on main, right? If this is going to be your representative for network television. It's on CW. And so, yeah, you got to load it up the way that you're loading up the women's division. You got to do that. So, I mean, that's my main thing is like NXT, they've got a really good roster. They do need to desperately do a better job of building these people into main event draws. You see the attendance issues they're having with it's show number 2 on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show number 2 on the road is having attendance issues on par with AEW.
Yeah.
So like, that illustrates the kind of buzz that they need to start building.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't disagree. So much of the last 2 weeks of NXT has been focused solely on, hey, everybody, we're going to be on the CW in a few weeks.
Right.
Make sure you tune in. Mm-hmm. And it's more just like constant reminders as opposed to really building anticipation, I feel like, for what's going to be on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because maybe now that Stephanie Vacour has kind of said, hey, whoever comes out of the CW as champion, I'm coming for the title. I want whoever's champion. I mean, at first I felt pretty dang confident that Julia is going to walk out champion. But at this point, I don't know, maybe they're going to have some sort of wonky finish where Roxanne retains, so they do a triple threat at the next Premium Live event. I don't know.
Have they booked themselves into a corner on this one? Roxanne has done such a great job. I'm generally not a fan of if you have somebody who's just absolutely killing it and then you bring in a high profile name just immediately to kill them. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I mean, I guess I'm fine within the situation. But then you got Stephanie Vacour. Who's going to lose?
I know. Because if you do Julia versus Stephanie Vacour right away, well, you got your 2 high-profile free agent signings. One of them's got to lose.
Is there any chance Roxanne comes out of all this still champion? That'd be something else for her, man.
That would be.
Somebody's got to eat the pin.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if something happens in the women's title match next week where it's a wonk finish. Mm-hmm, and Roxanne walks out champion still, and then you get the triple threat. Maybe they make it a 4 corners match or a fatal 4-way, something like that, at the next show with Julia, Stephanie, Roxanne, somebody else. Mm-hmm. So Roxanne escapes that match with the title too by pinning the 4th participant, whoever that might be.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and you kind of push on
Ren Sinclair.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, she goes up to Roxanne, slaps her in the face too, and says, "I'm calling my shot."
Yeah.
And then runs away from Roxanne. I don't know, like she did here with Kalani Jordan to kick off the show last week. Something. So then Roxanne escapes that. And you just push it down the line. You let both Stephanie and Julia really build up their respective brands, their stories in NXT before colliding again with Roxanne or whoever may be women's champion at the time when they finally get the belt. I don't know. But yeah, kind of, especially with Stephanie making an appearance at the end, it really maybe give me second thoughts about, oh yeah, Julia's totally winning this.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
For that reason, because if it's Julia, Stephanie, who's going to take the loss there?
Because they are doing the women's title and the men's title in the first episode, right?
Yeah.
The men's title is going to, and I'm not saying that it should.
It's going to main event because it's the men's title. CM Punk is the ref. It's going to main event. And there's going to be a title change. That's primarily why it's going to be.
And that's definitely going to be a title change. I'll say this though. I'll say this. If Julie is going to win straight up clean over Roxanne, that should main event.
I don't disagree at all.
That should main event.
I don't disagree.
And I think it probably will main event. If that's the scenario. Similar to how the contract signing main evented.
Yeah. But you could also say, well, the contract signing main evented, therefore the men's title match is going to main event because the women's match got the press conference main event. That might be their logic too.
Yeah, that could be.
But without a doubt, the men's title's changing hands.
That's for
Punk's
sure.
the ref. That's going to main event.
You think that's going to be the deal?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Or, okay, here's the thing though. Just throwing this out there. You open up with Cult of Personality. he comes out first, and that draws eyes. You know what I mean?
That's the distinct possibility too. Yeah, I didn't thought about that. That's true.
Yeah, because you want people to like, oh, Punk's here.
Tune in right away. Yeah.
Tune in right away.
Like AEW used to do, where they'd have like the most anticipated match on the card open, and you'd have something random main event. Yeah. Remember they used to do that?
You have a Dark Order match main event.
I know. No, I think ideally, yeah, Julia versus Roxanne, that'd be the main event I'd want.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the match with most uncertainty at this point, especially with the most drama.
And on top of that, it's gonna be the best in ring match too.
Yeah, it will be,
because that's gonna be fucking awesome.
You know, is I know there's probably people excited about Punk refereeing the Trick Ethan Page match. I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of drama involved in that because Trick's walking out champion.
Ethan Page had a title match against Oro Mensah in the mid card, whatever week that was.
A couple weeks back.
Yeah, I know this is a big deal and it's Trick and everything, but I think at this point, in terms of the prestige of the story, Roxanne Julia has far exceeded that. Agreed. Punk is absolutely the X factor, but I could totally see them opening the show with Cult of Personality there in Chicago, get them all on their feet. So I could see that, man.
I mean, I guess the inverse of that would be, for a lot of those same reasons, open with Roxanne versus Julia.
There's also, but hold on a second, there's also this. I could see them doing this shit. I could see it happening. CM Punk counts 3, raises Trick's hand, Drew McIntyre attacks his ass, and that's not going to end your episode on the CW. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe it would, because they're carrying over main events, main roster storylines to CW.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So yeah. Anyways, otherwise, like, I don't know what else happened. Yeah, Grayson Waller, dude. It's bad when even Nathan Frazier is calling out Grayson Waller and Austin Theory's relationship. Can we just do something with this Austin Theory Grayson Waller?
I know, it's the spinning of the wheels.
It's like so many spinning of wheels.
I know. It really is. Just like, move on with it already. I get some stories where you take your time. This one has been like months that it's been completely justified for Austin Theory to turn around and smack Waller in the face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why are we waiting on it more?
Yeah.
What do you think about Hank and Tank beating the Good Brothers, huh? At least Carl Anderson didn't take that pin.
The devil digs. Yeah, I don't know. It just got me thinking, what are the Good Brothers doing in NXT? And then I'm like, what are they going to do on main roster?
If they're losing to Hank and Tank in NXT, they ain't doing shit on the main roster, brother.
Here's the thing. I'm reasonably sure that if you and I were wrestlers right now at this, we could beat Hank and Tank. I think we could beat Hank and Tank in whatever world that is.
If you continue that logic, though, that means we could beat the Good Brothers.
Well, now we could, apparently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, my point is, it doesn't make any sense. The Good Brothers should wipe the floor with these guys.
Absolutely.
They were hosts at the Great American Bash.
I know.
But then it's not like the Good Brothers do. Okay, wait a second. This is a good point. AJ Otani here has been a member for 12 months. He says, happy to have spent a 10th of Friendo history with you guys. Lex offenders are starving. Lexus King face turn? Is that what we're getting now?
God.
Yeah, that's what we're getting now.
I don't want to have
That's what we're getting now. I feel you on the Tony D family turning on him. I was taking a walk the other day. I was like, God damn it, that son of a bitch has a good point. Which means Lexus King might take that title off of Femi Larson. He's a face now. He's a good guy now.
You shut the fuck up about that right now.
Lexus King that's my new prediction. Lexus King will dethrone Femi.
Femi will rip Lexus King in half.
Not before getting pinned. 1, 2, 3.
No.
What's his finishing move?
He'll stack 2 halves of Lexus King and pin him.
Is he like at the waist or down the middle?
Down the middle is how I imagine it.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, vicious.
That's wild.
You really think Femi is going to take that weird move that Lexus King does where he just runs into him from behind and kind of like
he's going to have to learn, man. He's going to have to learn.
That's such a terrible move. It's awful. I'm not even sure what it's supposed to accomplish.
Falling
Anyways,
down.
up with the show. Kalani Jordan beat Ren Sinclair, retained the North American title.
I love the no quarter catch crew.
Their chemistry is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. Then we had these press conference bits.
Yeah.
Where there was obvious NXT talent that were supposed to be being the press and asking questions. Like there was one where it's obviously Lola Vice asking a question. Apparently at the end, it was obviously Cora Jade asking a
Yeah,
question.
right. Yeah. Like, why didn't they fly us out?
Well, I understand why they didn't do that. It's expensive.
Is it because, well, I was going to say, is it because $5 billion deal? Get out of here. Is it because
not for the CW? That was $25 million, wasn't it?
We hide our NXT review at the end of the show?
Oh, that could be.
Or another way to think about it, it's the main event of our show.
It is another way of thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You have probably so many people at the Performance Center who aren't on TV on a regular basis. You know, new signees, trainees, maybe people who are on Level Up.
They haven't passed promo 101. They don't know how to ask press conference questions.
You give them a card. They just have to read the question.
That's more difficult for some people.
It's like, okay, what is Lola Vice doing here? Is Lola Vice a member of the wrestling press?
So she's starting a vlog or a blog. Maybe she's like, still doing the blogs.
Maybe.
That could be,
Maybe.
I mean, they're all trying their hand at other forms of media. And so they're like, hey, you know what? I've got access to NXT. I'll go ahead and ask some questions for my blog.
Maybe. So Ethan Page had press conference bit first, and he's just saying that he's going to leave the episode next week. Champ, we have Punk talking backstage. Javon Evans, Trick steps in, and Punk just says, I'm going to call the match down the middle. I kind of hope you win, but I'm not going to play favorites.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Trick, he did. They need to, I'll be honest with you, man. You got to maybe turn Trick heel or something. I don't like this, like, hey, Punk, thanks for being here. I don't like that. I don't like him being nice guy. I like when he was arrogant. He was so much fun.
Yeah, talking trash.
Yeah.
Then we had Grayson Waller effect with Fraxium. Again, just more trash talk, trying to drive wedges between partnerships, and it ends up with Waller and Theory laying out Fraxium holding up the titles. So they're going to lose in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Then we had the Metaphor backstage, and Lexus steps in, and he's like, "Hey," to Oro, it's like, "Hey, I'm not here to fight." And he tries to empathize with Oro, and it's like, "Hey, we've been down the same road."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dad issues.
And I know what it's like to go through life without someone to lean on. He says, "That's why you turned to violence, Oro." Lexus says, "My father wasn't around at all, but if he was, he'd want me to be the better man." So they have a match later on. So he says, "Let the best man win." So they shake hands. And Oro just says, "All right, make sure to make your dad proud, all right?"
Yeah. What happened to the music feud between him and what's his face and DJ Plutonic?
Done.
Man, what a bummer.
So then Hank and Tank had a promo. They're like, "Good Brother have done a lot, but they suck now. We're gonna beat them."
And they did.
They did. No lies told. So then Ashanti is backstage. He's got a rose, trying to find someone to give it to. He walks up to Tatum Paxley and says, "Oh, freak.
Yeah.
Girl, you don't scare me. You excite me." And Tatum says, "Well, my heart already belongs to somebody else." And so he turns around and leaves.
You know what he should have done? Because she's playing with all the dolls. He should have just walked up, took to the dolls, and...
Oh.
And she's like, "Why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
"Because I'm a freak, too."
So Carmen then and Brindley Reese are warming up for their tag match later. Then Hank and Tank beat the Good Brothers.
The devil digs.
And then Cedric and Javon Evans are chatting backstage. And then A-Town Down Under step up. Bunch of crap talk leads to a match later.
Mm-hmm.
Lexus King versus Oro Mensa. Oro gets the win here because Lexus rolls up Oro, puts his feet on the ropes, and says, "No, I'm not going to win that way." But then Oro rolls him up, puts his feet on the ropes to win.
Yeah. Like, did he just make that decision in the moment not to
It seemed like
cheat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he
okay.
does it, and then at the 2 count, he gets up like, no, I can't do it.
That was his face turn right there.
I mean, why are you asking me these questions? You watched the episode twice, you said.
No, I did. I watched that part very specifically. He got up and he was
sure.
like, no, I'm not going to. It's like a big show about it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Well, then he seemed really upset that Oro did it to him.
And then he feeds back. Yeah, I would be too. Because he was like, I'm not going to do that. And he feeds back around to Oro. And then Oro does the same thing to him.
Yeah. You said feeds. I like that.
You like that?
You know your wrestling lingo. Then we got the Tony D'Angelo training montage video package here.
They should have set this to Eye of the Tiger.
Well, that costs money, Steve.
$5 billion Netflix.
That's for Raw. This is NXT, man. They got $25 million.
Oh, come on. Here's the thing. Raw helps subsidize CW.
Doesn't seem
NXT.
like it.
Well, it should.
Get Def Rebel to do their own kind of version of Eye of the Tiger. Just make it a little bit different.
How great it would be if Rocky 3 actually ended like the way you think the Tony D thing is going to end. Like with Adrian turning on Rocky and then Mr. T wins a second time.
Heartbreaking, isn't it?
It'd be that would leave people. I would get terrible focus groups.
Maybe.
They'd be like, the fuck was that
But it's
ending?
going to be dramatic storytelling. So
Rocky should have beat Mr. T. However, I like that Thunder Lips guy.
Yeah. Then Riley Osborne loses to Ridge Holland and beat the shit out of Ridge Holland after the match.
Do you know the best part of this match? I thought you said you watched it. Come on, you don't know what I'm talking about.
I did watch it, but you have an opinion about what you think.
When Riley got up on the top rope to drop whatever he was going to drop on him, what did the crowd start doing?
Oh, I didn't notice.
They started chanting, "Oh, oh, oh, O'Reilly."
Oh my gosh.
I was cracking up, man.
Goodness.
I was cracking up. And yeah, Ridge Holland's themes. It's being that his theme song is being wasted on Ridge Holland. They need to give that to like somebody bigger, a bigger deal.
Yeah, like who?
Obafemi.
All right. Speaking of Obafemi, Miz announces via Twitter that the Obafemi Tony D contract signing is going to happen on Miz TV next week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Obafemi's press conference. He just pretty much says Tony is broken. He sees it in his eyes. I'm not going to answer any more questions. Then we got this Wesley Zach Wentz split screen interview. So they kind of did it where they announced it was going to happen before commercial break. After commercial break, they said it was going to happen after commercial break, but it didn't because this is what happened during commercial break.
Yeah.
And it was kind of along the lines of what we got with Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle after the interview ended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where they're just kind of talking shit and
Beat the
cussing
fuck
at
out
each
of
other.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wes said something to the extent of, you better tell Gigi Dolan, don't watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's going to be violent.
They're romantically linked.
I think they're engaged.
Zach Wentz, wow. Yeah. A love contract.
So that upset Zach Wentz, so he takes the mic off and leaves. And Wesley's like, oh, he's not coming. He's not coming back here. He's coming back here. And so he takes his mic off. I like that he didn't run away, Wesley. He went and met Zach Wentz somewhere backstage at the PC, and they start fighting and gets broken up.
Yeah.
Then we get a recap package of NXT's time on the USA Network.
What was the number one moment during their time on the USA Network?
In my opinion?
Yeah. Did Dan Matha happen on the network? I think Dan Matha happened.
It was on the WWE Network. Yeah, that was before
it was on the network. Yeah.
Gosh, I have to think about that.
Number one moment in NXT on, it was such a perfect show. It was on the WWE Network.
1 hour long.
One efficient hour of storytelling. Probably John.
That wasn't on USA Network, though.
What?
No, that was back still when it was on WWE Network. It was
happened on USA?
2019.
Yeah, it was late 2019. What the hell? What even happened in those years? Probably, I'll be honest, it was probably the first episode of 2.0 because it was so confusing. Yeah, it was like, wait a second, these guys were all security guards last week. Yeah, now they're beating LA Knight.
Breaker. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Who the fuck is Von Wagner? Why is he in this?
Yeah, why is he competing for the title?
That was the most my career moment in WWE history,
really
is when Von Wagner wandered into a shot and got a title shot in the main event.
I know.
Oh, Keith Lee double champ. Was that USA Network?
That might have been.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. It was. Then we have Lola and Jada in Ava's office, and they're arguing, and Ava says to him, you both have a problem with Fatal Influence, so you're going to tag against them. And they're like, no, we don't want to do that. And Ava says, too bad, you got a week to work it out. Get a tag match then, Wendy Chu and Rosemary taking on Carmen Petrovic and Brindley Reese. So Ashanti comes to ringside, hands the rose to someone sitting in the crowd.
This guy is so horny.
He is. For some reason, Carmen, even though he's not near the ring, Carmen comes down to the floor and starts arguing with him about why he's there.
Well, no, she's like, why are you giving this rose to somebody in the crowd? What are you doing?
Well, and nonetheless, her focus should be on the match and helping her partner because she dropped
when
down
you're in your 20s and horny, like that will distract the shit out of you from whatever you're doing.
Brindley Reese takes the L here because Rosemary hits her with her finisher because Carmen left her.
Rosemary wins again. Yeah, but no, Carmen, it's like Ashanti. Stop playing these games. That's an HR violation right there. You can't be messing with that. Trying to make people jealous with your fancy roses.
It's true. Then Soruka. He's talking to Phil backstage. Paige walks up and he's like, hey, I'm not happy you're a referee in this match. He says, we've been to the same place.
Where's that? TNA?
AEW.
I thought he was talking about TNA because they have both been in TNA.
They have. Number of years between their tenures there, yes, but they both have been in TNA.
Yeah, right.
He said, I worked too hard for the NXT title. I'm not in the mood for your drama. Phil again says, I'm not going to let you cheat. I call the match down the middle. This is your chance to prove you're the guy around here, and if you are, raise your hand and put the title around your waist, but if you're not, then I won't.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got a Fatal Influence press conference. They talk about their match with Lola and Jada. Then Lola and Jada bust in. Security holds them back. Got A-Town Down Under versus Cedric Alexander and Javon Evans. So Fraxium ends up costing Cedric and Javon's this match because they're so angry at A-Town Down Under that what happens here? So Evans goes up top. I think it's Axiom gets on the apron and like not purposely, but getting up on the apron, he pulls on the rope, and that causes Evans to get tripped up. And then Waller hits Evans with the kind of flipping kill switch move, which he does, which is pretty cool. And then Theory follows with A-Town Down Under to get the win. But you're right. If Javon Evans is having a high-profile match against Randy Orton in 2 weeks, he shouldn't be taking L's here.
Okay, well, maybe Cedric and Javon take those titles off Fraxium. Not going to happen between now and then, but...
No, it's not, because Fraxium's defending against A-Town
What
Down
about
Under
this?
The same show where Evans is taking on Orton.
They attack Fraxium next week, and then during the Randy Orton match, Javon Evans gets a protected loss because Fraxium distracts him during that match.
This just makes my head hurt.
Yeah. No, this is Pro Wrestling 101.
These distraction finishes. Then Trick Williams has his press conference. He says, I want to take the title back. NXT is reaching new heights, and I have to be at the lead of that. Says, my focus is on Paige. I got to lean back on what I learned from Pete Dunne. And if I do, I have a new NXT champion next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the last press conference is Roxanne and Julia. They take it from backstage to the ring. And there's just a kind of again, there's this NXT talent asking the questions in the front row.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Somebody should have raised their hand and be like, hey, I've got a question for Julia. Can you tell us why you can't think you can win the title?
Oh, my gosh. Don't do it.
And it's like, Joe Coffey, you have a blog?
Gosh darn it, man. But yeah, based on everything going into this first episode of CW, based on the story, the quality of the match, this should main event Roxanne versus Julia, 1,000%.
I feel like we've solved that it's going to main event, and if it doesn't, we'll be like, what?
I just feel like with Punk reffing, they want Trick to kind of be the face of NXT. Closing shot of the CW episode is going to be Trick holding that title or Punk raising his arm. That's just kind of what I feel like is going to happen.
Yeah, maybe. I could see welcome to NXT. I hope they get like a proper intro package. Remember when NXT used to change their intro packages like once a year?
Remember they had the one where everybody's lip syncing?
I didn't say they were all good. That was the "We are not your kind."
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, bizarrely defiant. Yeah, some are really cool. Some were cheesy as hell. The first one was cheesy as hell.
It was.
If you go back and watch that first one, like from the WWE Network, right?
Yeah.
That first one, not when it was a game show, but when it was like a territory. Like you go back and look at that now, you're like, who the fuck is like Vader's son? Yeah. Is one of the wrestlers, and it's like, whatever happened to that guy? And then you look him up, and it's like concussion, neck injury, concussion.
Yeah. Well, it's like Steamboat's kid too.
Steamboat's kid. He was going to be huge. Yeah, they were going to push that guy huge.
Injuries just derailed his career entirely.
I'm sad Caljack never made the TV intro, man.
I know. In hindsight, I kind of wish they had done Trick Ethan on the first, and so that would main event, and then do Roxanne and Julia on the 8th and have that main event.
I say flip-flop those because that 8th one is
either way.
It's having a hard time selling tickets.
That's true. Either way, but I'm just saying, like, let your
the first one has to be because Punk is the referee, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you have your top titles in your
two
singles divisions.
Yeah.
Main eventing your first two shows. I don't know why they decide. I mean, to a degree, I get it. They're front loading, or they're loading up the first show.
Yeah, right.
To generate maximum interest, but it seems to be at the extent of the second show because they're having trouble selling tickets. Like, have the tag title match on the first show.
Mm-hmm.
Have that open the first show because it'll be really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, get the crowd into it. You have Trick win the main event. And then, you know, regardless what happens at the end of the women's title match, you know, whether it's a wonk finish because Stephanie Vacour shows up, whatever the case may be, you can book it so it's like, oh, shoot, this is interesting. Things are happening. And it leads to intrigue for episode 3.
Yeah.
But
well, they're back at that shitty performance center.
Yeah.
I hope they visually rebrand that show. But
honestly,
honestly,
got 2 weeks to do it.
That's like not even, you know, the more we talk about it and the more I think about it, it's just they need to build people to make them draws, to make people give a shit, you know? It's like people care about Obafemi, they care about Trick Williams, they care about, you know, Roxanne Perez and some of the big signings they got going on there, but otherwise it's like,
I know.
You know, there's good talent there and they're doing like some fun things. Wes Lee's doing cool shit. I kind of feel like he needs to get away from the like this has to be it for the TNA stuff.
Yeah, I think it should be it. He'll beat Zach Wentz in the street fight next week, and then that'll be it for that.
And then you start building Lexus King versus Obafemi.
Please,
anyways, so how did out of 10? How did I do on my NXT recap, knowing that I watched the episode twice?
Oh, you did great. I thought
I did pretty good.
You should take the same approach next week. I feel like. Oh, next week we're gonna do the full on review on Wednesday, right?
How are we gonna do that?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like a major thing.
Shit's having a hard time selling tickets. Okay, well, that's
the second episode. The first one, I think they're selling tickets fine.
That's fine. Well, yeah, because Phil is there.
Yeah,
Phil's
Phil
a draw.
Will be there.
Baby.
We'll have at least one title change. Maybe.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We could do that.
Or if we watch it, it's like there's nothing happening on this show, then we don't have to.
Is Trick winning the title enough for some? If they wonk the finish for Roxanne, well, here's the thing: we got to tell people in advance what we're gonna do. I feel like we need to commit.
All right.
Do we have ads next week? Do we have ads next week?
Check.
If we have ads next week, then we need to think about it. If we
do not have ads next week.
We don't have ads next week? Fuck it. Let's get it done with.
All right,
it could do 7,000. You know, if all the people complain about, oh, you guys only do NXT, your NXT is half-assed. And I'll be like, this is why.
Yeah. All right, let's answer some questions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm hungry.
Is that a question, sir?
No, that's a declarative statement first and foremost.
I'm hungry. What are you, fucking 5?
Yeah, apparently when it comes to me and my hunger.
I'm hungry. Okay, go make yourself some chicken nuggets, kid.
I can't. I'm doing a show right now.
Oh, man.
Right.
Let's see here.
Alex Foster here says, the family have hired you guys to train Tony D'Angelo. What specific exercises catered towards you would you give the Don?
Oh,
full
court 21.
Yeah, that'd be it. Full court 21. Because otherwise, like, Tony D'Angelo is a collegiate wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's far more well-versed in effective training methods than I would be, except for full court 21.
Yeah, we'll do, play some basketball.
Yep.
Let's see here. Oh, wow, here we go. Fear and Loathing has a great question. Lashley had the most epic theme in the WWE. Oh. With TK's willingness to shell out money for music.
Oh, wow.
What epic song would you use for Lashley's entrance?
Wow, what a great question. Gosh, what's something that has the gravitas?
I don't know why, but I can't get Immigrant Song stuck out of my head for that.
Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would cost an arm and a leg.
Oh, Zeppelin is massive. They're probably
and they're like super picky about what they license stuff for. So
yeah.
Just trying to think of something that has that same kind of, not necessarily timpani drums, but something that has that gravitas.
Yeah.
I got to think about that one.
You got to think about it.
Payday says the person who was only able to get back in WWE because the pay-per-views were on Peacock. Do you think AEW viewership will see a rise as they put the pay-per-views on a streaming platform? I don't know if the weekly viewership will see a rise, but I don't see any downside to doing something comparable on Max to what WWE did on Peacock.
If they put the entire library on Max and they actually get Max to advertise it and like give it a prominent spot, I think it's possible they could boost the ratings, like the weekly ratings, just exposure in a different place. Boy, my dog keeps on farting in this room, man. It is gnarly in here.
Oh, I'm hungry. Your dog's got gas. Time to wrap the show up, Steve.
You'll get your chicken nuggies in here just a second.
Timor here says, what would a Steven Larson film training montage look like? Full Court 21.
It'd be like 3 minutes, and we'd be just exhausted. We'd be gassed.
And it'd be real time.
Yeah,
3 minutes, real time.
Yeah. AJ Otani says, with 4 corner strap matches, lumberjack strap matches, and shark cage matches being revived, what other WCW-esque matches should come back? The Chamber of Horrors match where somebody gets...
Just no pole matches, please.
Yeah, no pole matches.
Pole matches are garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Nikyle asks, what would be a nice surprise you would like to see happen on NXT's CW debut next week? Let's have a debut. Let's have an NXT debut.
Ricky Starks.
Yeah, Ricky Starks.
A visual rebrand. That's what I want. And a intro where they're all lip syncing. Verse says, could Jey Uso's IC title win delay Jimmy's return, or was it already delayed so Triple H pivoted to Jey getting the title? I have no idea. Nobody knows anything about that, so it's hard to speculate.
Yep. Jimmy Thomas says, I've seen a parallel between the Blackpool Combat Club story to Fight Club, with Mox being Tyler Durden leading Project Mayhem and Danielson being the narrator. Oh, this isn't actually a question. Oh. Wait, but does that make Wheeler Yuta Bob? That's the question.
Oh, who's Bob?
That Meatloaf's character?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say he's Bob. Wheeler Yuta is Jared Leto's character.
Yes.
Angel Zero says, how quickly should Lashley get the title once he gets to AEW, and why is the answer immediately? I don't think you do it immediately.
I think if he feuds with Swerve first, it's not going to be immediate.
Jose says, you guys see Hobbs in the back when MVP was cutting the promo? Really?
I saw a picture of it. Yeah, I saw something on Twitter.
That's cool.
Off the, like in the side of the stage. Yeah.
That's neat. Let's see here. Oh, wow. Oh, Jason, boy, this is actually a tough one. This is a tough one, I think. If both of you had the choice to be managed by MVP or Nana, which would you choose?
It's tough.
I feel like MVP knows about brand deals. He's been managing for a long time. We could establish some sort of Steve Underground system. I'm going with MVP. The Steve business is open.
Yeah, you can't go wrong saying MVP.
I'll say this, though. You're a guy who, I don't know if you want to be heavily managed. I'll put it that way. In which case, I feel like you just want to chill with Nana. You just want a dude who's going to come out, hype you up. Maybe he'll take care of some of your Expedia affairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's true. That's true.
I feel like you're more of a Nana guy. And
Prince Nana, he's got his coffee he's trying to sell, so it's not like he's has no experience with brand deals and stuff. So
right, but I also feel like it's a bit more of a chill enterprise.
Yeah, it is. I don't need any more stress in my life. No,
I need structure. I'm like, oh, MVP, what can you do for me? And you're like, Prince Nana, you want to go smoke some weed?
Well, that's not necessarily my, I don't really do that.
Could be though.
What?
Could be though. You talk about being stressed. You just talked about being stressed out. Nana, how's the edible situation?
See, that's a little more up my alley.
A full brownie.
That might be a bit much.
You said you're hungry.
I'm hungry.
C Machine says, who are your top 3 favorite AEW wrestlers right now? Mine are Swerve, Hangman, and Danielson in no particular order.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Maybe a sprinkle of Jeff Jarrett in there.
Sebastian Garcia says, "What should the new ominous sound effect be for Lashley's AEW theme?" So not timpani drums.
A high pitched chorus. Oh, like the God sound. Whoa!
Okay, sort of like Christian's old theme, Christian, but not saying Christian, obviously.
Or not saying Lashley, right?
Yeah. Yeah, choir's good. Man, those timpani drums are so good, though. Boom, boom, boom.
Give me a different, because you can't do literally the same thing, but timpani drums in a different fashion.
Bum, 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 bum. Different rhythm.
Yeah, different rhythm. There you go. We already talked about this. Linda Taylor says, "What are your plans for a Mr. McMahon review?" It's coming today.
Yeah, we'll
today.
Record it later, yeah.
We're going to record it at approximately 3 p.m. or so Pacific time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to try to get it up by 5 p.m. Pacific.
As soon as we can, yeah.
What is today? Thursday? Nothing's
Today's
on TV
Thursday.
tonight. All right. Anyways, that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, everything else we talked about.
And I know you're hungry. You're going to go eat a giant brownie edible. Be high as fuck for that McMahon documentary.
Probably not going to happen. No.
We should both do that. That'd be fun.
Both?
We should both do it. Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show.
Be lucid while we do that.
Oh, no. That's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you around.